Okay everyone, we're going to take apart a keyboard as part of this activity. Why a keyboard? Well, I have this old keyboard. Mostly because keyboards are the thing that people most associate with interacting with computers. So if you think about how old computers worked, they almost were always just a keyboard that maybe hooked to a television or hooked to some other monitor. Time has gone on, we have keyboards, voice, all kinds of stuff we'll talk about throughout the semester, but the keyboard is a thing that we're constantly using to interact with a computer. So we're going to disassemble it. Keyboards are not complicated to disassemble, as you can tell. They're probably not really that complicated to assemble either. So we're just going to go ahead and take out the screws in the back. Take out the big screws first. Feel free to disassemble your own keyboard instead of watching this video. Or feel free to disassemble your own keyboard after watching this video in particular. So you can try out some of the things I'm going to show you here. Super exciting, I know. So removing the screws in the back. This keyboard actually looks like I broke it before. No problem, it'll still work. For our activity, make sure all the screws are out. Okay, now I should be able to pull this top part off. If I got all the screws. Oh, looks like I missed a screw. Or 6. Is that enough to open it up? Nope. I have a feeling these other screws aren't really there for keeping it together. Oh, maybe they are. Alright. So we'll take apart them all. Much smaller for this one. Every keyboard's put together a little bit different, but how they work is essentially the same, which is what we're going to take a look at. Riveting online education. Now it can come out. All right. Okay, so we have our base plate there. There's the rest of the screws. Now here's what is inside of the keyboard. Now the display is kind of cool, or the description there, or the plastic on top, because it kind of looks like Tron. I always think so when I look at it. There's some of my work stuff on the side here. Kind of looks like Tron. What you're going to look at here now, as we disassemble the keyboard, there is this film right here, okay? Now what you'll notice about this film is that it's actually 1, 2, 3 pieces of this acetate, I guess is for lack of a better word. So we've got this acetate here, piece 1. We have a clear piece that has lots of little holes in it, kind of hard to pick up on the video. And then that other piece, okay? Now I can remove that. And what is interesting is I have all of these little, this is the keys, right? As I press the keys, you can see there's this thing, which is like a spring, kind of like a plasticky spring. It's probably a silicone of some sort. And there's one on every button. And then up here at the top, we have this keyboard happens to have, like volume controls and stuff, so that's up there too. So I have the acetate, I have the buttons, these things that the human actually presses. Like, see, as I press, you can see everything sort of move up and down. Or imagine this would be upside down, and as I typed what would happen, it would push down and then push back up. And then these 3 pieces of material. Okay, so we have on this particular keyboard, because we have the sound and video and audio kind of controls up here, we have more keys than a normal keyboard. A normal keyboard has about 104, give or take. So there's 104 keys here. Now we have this piece over here that I want to pull out and show you guys how this works. Alright, so this is the keyboard controller, right? This is how the keyboard communicates with the computer. Alright? Now, how does it communicate with the computer? Well, if we look here, this end is what? USB. You guys have all seen USB before. Awesome. Let's take a look at this. And you can see there are little bars on here, on the actual keyboard controller. Now, if we have 104 keys, and we have a bunch of bars, what I want you to think about is, how does this keyboard work? Right? What is it about this keyboard controller? How does it work? Even more interesting, what I want you to think about is, okay, so we have 104 keys. Look at how many wires there are that actually go, because this is the wire that goes out to the computer. How over 1, 2, 3, 4 wires does this keyboard work? If you've never used anything with electronics, that's okay. Hopefully you've had some math where you can sort of think about how this may work, and what I'm looking for is an educated guess. But how does this keyboard work is what I want you to think about. If you're working in a group, that's fantastic. You and the group, I really, like I said, highly recommend you disassembling a keyboard in person so you can take a look at how yours works. It might be completely different. It probably has, these 3 pieces of material. It might, instead of having all these individual little things, it might have one big piece of silicone. But again, how does it all work? How do you press the letter G on a keyboard, and then how does it get from the keyboard into the computer? But the first step is, how do you think this works? I'll take some close-up pictures and put them in the material as well so you can see those. But this is step 1, and there'll be a step 2 after this.